Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today, we're going to talk about one of the greatest and most bizarre single issues from the 90s, Incredible Hulk issue 417. And the really interesting thing about this particular issue, it does not revolve around the Hulk. It actually focuses on Rick Jones and his future wife, Marlo. They are going to get married, and this is the whole setup to the big wedding issue. And when I reread this comic book recently, I thought to myself immediately, Marvel editorial nowadays would not let this issue out. So the issue actually starts off with Hulk in therapy with Doc Samson. For some reason, I wanted to say Walter Simonson, but no, Doc Samson. And there's a very strong contrast with this issue with what happened immediately prior to it, because it was the Future Imperfect story arc. It was a 2-issue story arc that for some reason it wasn't in the main Hulk series. It was something that Marvel put out on its own. But there, Hulk encountered a very evil future self, Maestro, and Hulk is very, very worried because he does see some aspects of his personality going in that direction. And we as readers had seen like brief little glimpses of Hulk showing a little bit of an evil streak to him. So then next we cut to Rick and Marlo, who had called off the wedding, but now it's back on. They had made up because they had some type of fight prior to this. They send out invitations to most of the characters from the Avengers side of the Marvel Universe and the Fantastic Four. Because at least to my knowledge, I've never seen Rick Jones pop up in any mutant title or in Spider-Man. So what happens next is Marlo and Rick with Hulk and Betty, they go to the airport to pick up Marlo's mom, who is super happy to see her daughter and meet her son-in-law. But the really interesting part of this story, who is super happy to see her daughter and meet her future son-in-law, it's really nice to see Hulk trying to interact and be a normal person in these type of situations. So now the story cuts to the really good stuff, to Rick Jones's bachelor party, which they established that there is some fruit punch that doesn't have any alcohol and that someone has spiked it. Which I thought to myself, like, all the characters present are adults, and why would they not have any booze at this party? So now we have a bunch of heroes that are completely drunk, and all of a sudden this lady with this crazy costume bursts onto the scene. And all our heroes are ready for action, and I must add, in this very bizarre situation, everyone's in costume for some reason. Even Iron Man is in complete armor. Even Captain America, complete costume with the mask. I'm not sure if he has a shield somewhere around there, but the thing is, we discover that this lady is a stripper sent by Nick Fury. And I really like the fact that Captain America and Hulk are sort of not okay with the situation. Like, they're very prudish with what's going on. And Hulk is like, look, I just don't want to see women as sex objects, so on and so forth. We're coming off a story where Hulk was actually SA'd. And then we get this hard cut to Marlo's bachelorette party where they're just going totally crazy with male strippers. And Marlo's with Betty Ross and other female superheroes, which most of them don't have their costumes on, except for the Scarlet Witch. And Crystal has her costume under her clothes. So we have a couple of thugs crash the stripper joint, and they have obviously terrible luck because we have all these super ladies there. They get their butts kicked. Now here's where Peter David takes things up to 11, and this is just pure gold. So what happens is they pull out a projector all our heroes sit down. Again, some of them in full costume. They are going to watch a corn flick. So let's say it that way. And so they're watching the movie, and it's hilarious. Like Captain America is sort of covering his eyes. When they realize that the star of the flick is actually Marlo, Rick Jones's future wife. So now with this insane revelation, it's put into question if they're going to get married or not in the next issue. Obviously, Rick Jones is going to get really bent out of shape over this whole situation. And I think that Peter David handles the situation between him and Marlo very well, but we're going to cover that in a future video. But I really don't understand why Rick would get so bent out of shape unless Marlo didn't tell him how she met the Hulk in the first place, because she used to be the Grey Hulk's girlfriend. It was very heavily implied that she was a stripper / prostitute, so I guess she didn't tell him about that, or Bruce Banner / Hulk didn't tell him about that. But we're going to leave things here. I hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.